In our last episode, Daniel has a vision of a ram with two horns which symbolizes Medo-Persia. One of the horns is higher than the other, symbolizing the dominance and rise of Persia over Media. A male goat which has a notable horn between its eyes, comes from the west, and touched not the ground, implying this goat came swiftly and with great fury. We see this goat is referring to Greece, and the notable horn was referring to their first king, historically Alexander the Great. Alexander died at a young age, having no heir for his kingdom. After his death, Alexander's empire was divided up among four of his generals: Cassander, who took Macedonia and Greece; Lysimachus, who took Thrace and parts of Asia Minor; Seleucus, who took Syria and territory to its east; and Ptolemy, who took control of Egypt. This fulfilled the prophecy of the four notable horns rising up towards the four winds of heaven. Then we see out of one of those four territories, a little horn which became exceedingly great arose. When comparing this little horn, Antiochus Epiphanes, and the little horn of Daniel 7, we came to the conclusion that this little horn did not meet many of the required characteristics of being the actual anti-Messiah. He did seem to very much be a type though. Before we continue our study, if this is the first time you are watching one of these videos, please consider watching previous episodes for a complete overview of Daniel up to this point. Also, as a reminder, notes with fill-in sections are available for this video. They are free and can be downloaded by selecting the link located in the description details below this video. Let's begin. Daniel 8 verses 10 to 12 says, "And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced, and prospered. So, who is this little horn that blasphemes Elohim and persecutes his people? And what is the 2,300 evenings and mornings?" Before we answer these questions, let's look at the various views of this part of Daniel. In one of our earliest episodes we discussed different types of eschatological views. The Preterist, futurist, and historicist prophetic interpretations have different answers to these questions. In the Preterist view, the majority of the prophecies of the book of Daniel have already been fulfilled and therefore, have no significance for the present day or for the future. Next, the little horn arose from one of the divisions of Alexander's Greek Empire. Specifically, it is the Greek king Antiochus Epiphanes. Then, the 2,300 evening and mornings, are 2,300 individual morning and evening sacrifices, or 1,150 literal days, and describe a period during the reign of Antiochus Epiphanes in the 2nd century BC. Finally, the sanctuary refers to the temple in Jerusalem which Antiochus polluted and the victorious Jewish rebels purified before January 1, 164 BC. Those who hold to the futurist view generally follow the same line of interpretation. But they also see Antiochus as a type of an end-time anti-Messiah who will arise in the final years of Earth's history, just before Yahshua returns. Some futurists also apply the 2,300 evening and mornings to the end time. They interpret it as literal evenings and mornings or the literal 2,300 days of the end-time reign of this anti-Messiah. During the last 7 years of Earth's history, according to this interpretation, a literal temple will be polluted by this anti-Messiah. The temple will be restored when the Messiah comes and puts an end to the reign of the anti-Messiah. And in the historicist view, the prophecies in Daniel and Revelation portray an outline of history and the story of the ongoing struggle between good and evil, down to the end of time. Next, the evil horn king represents the Church of the Roman Empire, the Roman Church. In the year 380, the Emperor Theodosius made the Trinitarian version of Christianity the state religion of the Roman Empire. During the 5th century, Europe became Aryan again as Aryan Germanic tribes fragmented Western Europe into various kingdoms. In the 6th century, Emperor Justinian subjected these Aryan nations. After that, through 2 centuries of rule by the Eastern Roman Empire through the Church in the West, all Aryan nations converted to Trinitarian Christianity. Consequently, the Church of the Middle Ages was the Roman Church, the Church of the Roman Empire. Then, utilizing the day-for-a-year principle, historicists have held that the 2,300 evening and mornings refer to a period of 2,300 literal years, commencing in the time of the Persian Ram and concluding with the recovery of the message of the Bible truth after the distortions of the Middle Ages. Finally, the purification of the sanctuary symbolizes the restoration of God's people and/or their message. With this additional detail, we'll review the remainder of the dream closer. Daniel 8 verse 10 says, "And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them." Let's explore the Hebrew definitions from blueletterbible.com to better understand this verse. The "it" here in the beginning of verse 10 is referring to the little horn previously mentioned in verse 9. It says this little horn waxed great, which can mean to become great or powerful, or to magnify. Host can be defined as that which goes forth, army, war, warfare, or service. And cast down has a meaning of to fall, to cause to fall, to overthrow, or to make the lot fall, while stars can mean of Messiah, brothers, numerous progeny, which means descendants or offspring of a race or lineage or personification. Next, we find that to the ground can be defined as earth, inhabitants, land of Canaan, Israel, or people of the land. And verse 10 ends with stamped upon them, which can mean trampled, or to trample. So Daniel 8 verse 10 reads here as follows when considering select definitions we just reviewed. "And the little horn became powerful, magnifying himself or itself, even to that which goes forth of heaven. And the little horn overthrew and caused to fall some of those that went forth and of the descendants or offspring of the lineage and inhabitants of the land of Canaan, or Israel, and trampled them." While hosts usually describes an army such as Elohim's angelic assembly in heaven, Israel is occasionally referred to as Elohim's hosts in Scripture. We also see the people of Elohim mentioned increasing from Abraham as stars in Genesis 15 verse 5 and again in Genesis 22 verse 17. Considering these verses, the idea of Israel and the Jews being referenced here in Daniel 8 verse 10 as the hosts and stars is possible. This, and the fact they were persecuted by Antiochus Epiphanes, fit the context. So in verse 10, we can see how Antiochus Epiphanes aligns with the Preterist view and fits a type within the futurist's view. Now, let's read verse 10 again, considering the parenthesis, however let us view it from the historicist view, which tend to believe the little horn is the Roman Church. Does it fit? "And the little horn became powerful, magnifying himself or itself, even to that which goes forth of heaven. And the little horn overthrew and caused to fall some of those that went forth, and of the descendants or offspring of the lineage and inhabitants of the land of Canaan, or Israel, and trampled them." We've seen in previous episodes the Roman Catholic Church became very powerful and magnified itself and their pope to the highest position, claiming to sit in the place of Elohim, all while persecuting those who did not go along with their man-made religion. So we can also see how the actions of the Roman Church supports the historicist view of this verse as well. Next, let's look at Daniel 8, verses 11 and 12. Daniel 8 verses 11 to 12 says, "Yeah, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced, and prospered." Similar to what we did in verse 10, let's explore the Hebrew definitions from blueletterbible.com to better understand these verses. He, himself, him, in these two verses are referring to the little horn. Magnified can mean to make powerful or to promote, to magnify. Interestingly, himself is not in manuscripts but was added by assumption. The phrase, the prince, is defined as leader, head, overseer, officials, religious offices, or ruler of rulers, of Elohim. And of the host can mean that which goes forth, army, war, warfare, service, of whole creation, while the daily can be defined as continuity, perpetuity, or continually, which means uninterrupted succession. The word sacrifice is not in original manuscripts. Next, was taken away, can mean to rise, rise up, be exalted, erect, be abolished, magnify oneself. And the place can refer to a fixed place or foundation. Of his sanctuary is defined as a sacred or holy place, sanctuary, of the temple or tabernacle. And was cast down can mean to throw away, cast off, down, or forth. Next, we see against used here can be defined as many things such as upon, on the ground of, according to, on account of, on behalf of, concerning, beside, in addition to, together with, beyond, above, over, by, onto, towards, to. By reason of transgression can mean rebellion, transgression, against individuals, or against Elohim, guilt, punishment, or offering for transgression. And it cast down again can mean to throw away, cast off, down, or forth. The truth is defined as faithfulness, stability, of testimony and judgment, of divine instruction and true doctrine. And to the ground can mean one of the following: earth inhabitants, the land of Canaan, Israel, people of the land. And it practiced can mean accomplished, to produce, prepare, to press and to squeeze. And finally, and prospered is defined as to advance, make progress, or to succeed. So Daniel 8 verse 11 and 12 could read as follows when considering select definitions from what we just covered. Yeah, the little horn promoted himself even to the leader of the whole creation, and by the little horn the uninterrupted succession was abolished, and the foundation of Elohim's temple, or tabernacle was defiled. And warfare was given the little horn on account of the uninterrupted succession by rebellion against Elohim, and the little horn threw away the divine instruction to the earth's inhabitants, and the little horn pressed and squeezed them, and succeeded. Does Antiochus Epiphanes align with the preterist view and fit a type within the futurist's view for these two verses? BibleTools.org provides the following on Antiochus Epiphanes. Daniel's prophecy describes the reign of one of the later Syrian kings, Antiochus IV, surnamed Epiphanes, the Manifest, or the Illustrious. With tragic wit, the Jews named him Epimanes, or the Madman, when it became apparent that his policies were violently anti-Jewish. Determined to civilize or Hellenize the Jews, this little horn systematically forbade, under penalty of death, circumcision, Sabbath and holy day observance, and the reading or possession of the scrolls of the Torah. He executed some for refusing to eat swine's flesh and butchered others who would not bow to a pagan image. Additionally, he had a statue of Zeus Olympus, an abomination of desolation, erected in the temple. Swine were sacrificed on God's altar, and pagan rites, orgies, and festivals were performed in the temple grounds. In his pride, he decreed that he should be worshipped as Zeus. His coins were struck with the inscription Theos Epiphanes, or God Manifest, a horrible counterfeit of the true God with us. Other despicable deeds of Antiochus, like his wars against Egypt and the Maccabees, are prophesied in Daniel 11 verses 21 to 35, where he is clearly depicted as a type of the end-time beast. His historical activities blend into the future rise and fall of the coming world dictator, who will also speak blasphemies and persecute God's people. We can see Antiochus Epiphanes fits both positions well. And how about the historicist view? Do verses 11 and 12 fit the Roman Church? History shows the Roman Catholic Church and the papacy self-proclaimed and promoted themselves in the place of Elohim. They have deceived and misled millions upon millions not only within their own church, but influenced those that have split from them at the time of the Reformation. They have twisted and changed commandments, rewriting and interpreting scripture to their gain. History reveals they are responsible for torturing and murdering millions throughout the centuries, while also separating themselves from Jewish beliefs and practices, even threatening excommunication for any offense. All this history supports that the papacy and Roman Catholic Church fit what is spoken of in verses 11 and 12. We'll stop here and pick up at chapter 8, verse 13 in our next episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new and pray you are enjoying this end-time study. Please remember, it is vital we not define the Bible by our lives or views, but rather define our lives and views by the Bible. I encourage you when studying not to allow man's doctrine, or preconceived biases to supersede Scripture, as we're reminded in Isaiah 29 verse 13, Colossians 2 verse 8, and elsewhere. I have come across many of these ideas which I share in my research and studies. Please do not take any of these ideas as truth without studying Yah's word for yourself. Please do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Please continue to study and be like the Bereans of Acts 17 verse 11. Also, I encourage you to verify books you read, and videos you watch, including this one, to ensure they line up with Scripture. If you enjoyed the video, please like it. Also, please consider subscribing to the channel. My plan is to post a new video every couple weeks as time allows. I feel so honored and blessed to share what I have been shown in my studies, and I appreciate you watching. I am so grateful for your prayers and support of this ministry and pray you too are blessed.